Good morning and welcome to Element 8's quarterly Data Liberation Front webinar. Thank you for those online. I see there's a good number of people online for a Friday morning. Your time is valuable. Thank you for joining us. We have some exciting new updates for you today. We've got a customer showcase from our friends at Systeco Automation. We'll celebrate our top SI partners, at least for the final quarter of last year. And there's some really nice technology updates to look forward to, more than usual, as there's a couple of big releases on the way. What is the Data Liberation Front? If you're not familiar with what the Data Liberation Front is, we are Element 8, but the Data Liberation Front is really a movement. It's a community of like-minded men and women with a common purpose and passion for growing our industry. If you're not familiar with Element 8 at all, where I had a look at the names, I think everybody should know us. But maybe for the recording and for those that will look after, watch this afterwards, Element 8 is the proud distributor of Ignition, Universal Industrial Application Platform, Sepasoft MES, and the Canary Data Historian. We exist to help ensure a flourishing future for industry. Our guiding principles to achieve this is to humbly serve our community and the industry, to learn from others and share what we've learned, and to provide intuitive and scalable technologies that break down the barriers of cost and complexity. That's us. That's Element 8. And with you today on this side, in this room here, my name is Yaku. I look after the team at Element 8. We have Laura online. Laura, I assume you're still with us. Hi.
Yes, I can't see show my video, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. That's unfortunate. I'd rather have your video on than mine.
If you can fix it on your end, I would definitely say hi to everyone. That would be cool.
We'll check that out. Yeah, thank you. Laura's down in Cape Town and our customer success lead. Right across from me is Gary Lowenstein. Hi, good morning, everybody. Sales engineer. And then really our guest presenter today, our guest of honor. Last but not least is Therese van Rooyen, the assistant manager at Systeco Automation. That's going to take us through their success story, which is a really, really impressive body of work and application that they did for a customer in Australia. Therese, good morning.
Oh, good morning. Hi, how are you?
Thank you for joining us, Therese. Well, unfortunately, you the star of the show, and you're up last, so you'll have to listen to us waffle for a couple of minutes first.
It's okay, no problem.
Cool. All right. Somebody else in the room with us today is Luan Tata, who's our marketing lead. Started with us, when was it, Luan? 3rd of January, 6th of January. So, geez, yeah, you even got a couple of extra days in January. We've got some new team members that joined us at the beginning of this year. Luan looks after all of our marketing, branding, design, all of those event kind of initiatives. Then we have Katlego Gagupane. I'm just going to say Skater Cat. I like Skater Cat and it's suck. Katlego, as well as Yaku Sadler. Yaku is not the OG Yaku. There's only one OG Yaku. But there's another Yaku Sadler, and both him and Kat joined Laura's team as customer success engineers. And we're really, really grateful to be bringing in new people into the business, especially young people. So welcome to these three gentlemen that have joined us at the beginning of January. The circle is growing. All right, so what do we have in store for you today? We've got some community news. We will look at the Cirrus Link MQTT Unified Namespace update. That's a very, very big mouthful. We'll explain a little bit more about that when we get to it. We will introduce you very briefly to a new offering called SepaIQ by Sepasoft that we're really excited about. We're going to take a quick peek at the new Ignition industry packs. There's 2 of them, really, really nice comprehensive resource that's available for free. We're going to look at Ignition and Canary updates, the typical product updates that we have. And we will jump straight into the customer showcase with Clarice and Systeco Automation. So that's the agenda for today. Anything I'm missing, Gary?
No, I don't think so.
No. All right, as always, we'll kick off with who's new. Welcome to new friends, new customers that joined us over the last 3 months. Can probably quickly mention all of them: Agri-Technovation, Courier IT, Danone, FCT Waterboard in Abuja, Nigeria, Killanova, London Gold, Makana Brick, Impact, Nutrisec, Pioneer Fishing, Pro Process, Rack Center, also Nigeria. It's nice to have a growing base and community in Nigeria. ShopRite, Sibanye Stillwater, Caesar Water, Take 5, Tauber Joint Venture, a couple of local municipalities, Tokoloho, I'm hoping that's pronounced correctly, Turnkey Modular, and Unilever. Welcome to some new faces, to our community, new customers over the last 3 months. New partner certifications. We have Ignition certified. We've got a couple of new customers or new partners. We've got Automatic for the People down in the Western Cape, energy auditing services, gas at site, all in the Western Cape, In Control from Seychelles, Protomation Works, and Rhine Mechatronics all became Ignition certified over the last 4 months essentially. Gold certified, Green Rose Solutions, well done to the guys there. Qualico Solutions, Zip Automations in Nigeria, all gold certified. I hope we haven't missed any new certifications over the last 3 months. And then, of course, for me, from Qualico Solutions, also Canary certified. If we have missed a certification, I do apologize. Our last DLF was, I think it was around July, August last year. So there may have been a couple of certifications that we've missed. If you want to learn more about the certification program, how to become certified, the training, the enablement, the journey to do that, and how to reach the level of certification, please reach out to Clarice Rodenbach, our channel partner lead. Clarice will be happy to take you through those steps and guide you through the process. You can also scan the QR code. All these QR codes have been tested. It's not the same one. So you're welcome to point your phone at the screen and follow the QR code as well to the partner page. We're incredibly proud to highlight our top 10 selling system integrators. So each integrator's ranking on this leaderboard is based on their total sales for the quarter, which would have been our final quarter of last year, October to December. We're already halfway through this quarter, but for now we can at least do a tally and a recognition of the final quarter of last year. These are the real heroes in our community, the people that do the hard work. We've got the easy jobs. These people have the difficult tasks and challenges, and the real brains trust. But let's look at the top 10 closing out 2024. We'll start with the bottom half. Number 10, Intake, Eritron, Devcotech, Dana Engineering and Control Software Solutions. And then our top 5, we have VisiPraxis number 5, Venicon 4th, Afridec 3rd, Advances number 2, and our top selling system integrator for the final quarter of last year was Concero. So congratulations to Rolf and the team and everybody. I don't think the objective is always to be in the top 10, but the objective is certainly to serve your customer as best as you can. But we've got some regulars that feature in the top 10. Well done to everybody. Really proud of you guys. Really happy to have you in our community. And we look forward to see what the first quarter of this year is going to look like as far as the top system integrators go. Upcoming training, obviously a very big part of enablement and making sure that you are enabled and trained to make sure the software serves you. We've got Canary training, first week of March. I believe there's 8 or 9 or 10 people. We can accommodate 10 on that one. Ignition Perspective down in Durban. I know, Laura, that Perspective is really in demand at the moment. So we have spoken about adding a second Perspective date before May. We will hopefully confirm that over the next couple of days, next week.
Yeah, which will be virtual, so anyone can join.
And that one will be virtual, yeah. We've got Ignition Advanced right at the end of March, which is, of course, database and scripting. And then we have another Ignition Core early in May. And there's a couple of others, but we'll leave it then until middle of May for now. Scan the QR code again to follow the link for the training page. And we will confirm that second Perspective date fairly soon. All right, let's kick off with the updates. There was enough of the waffle. Let's get straight into what is new, what has been released over the last couple of months. We celebrated Christmas since the last time we spoke. A lot has happened, not only with business, but also in South Africa. But let's focus on the technology and understand what is new and what's been added since then. So Ignition MQTT modules, if you're not familiar with MQTT, we're not going to cover that now. That's a topic for another day. But we do want to focus on what functionality has been added to these MQTT modules that enable and build and essentially transmits the UNS natively with inside of these MQTT modules. So what is the Unified Namespace? Very briefly, just for context, the Unified Namespace is the architectural foundation of successful digital transformation initiatives because it enables you to make data accessible from your entire enterprise to a single database. Typically, a broker-centric architecture, but more specifically, UNS is a standardized way to organize and name data, and it contains an enterprise structure and events in one communication interface. So I think the important bit to read out of those two very long sentences is that the UNS is essentially a real-time single source of truth for data in your operations and environment that is semantic, and it aligns with the physical plant environment. And it's open and accessible to other people, other systems, other software, both bidirectionally, the Unified Namespace. We've spoken a lot about it over the last couple of, really 2 years. It was coined by Walker Reynolds, of course, from Industry 4.0 Solutions. There is a very helpful guide that you can download from Inductive Automation that talks through the UNS with some key concepts, but it is certainly very much an approach and a philosophy that is worth understanding. But why is this relevant to the new MQTT functionality? We do speak about ISA 95 Part 2, specifically hierarchy, as it pertains to your physical plant environment, meaning that we want your data that lives inside of your unified namespace to represent the same physical environment, to be a true reflection of where the data is not only originating from, but where the data is being essentially gathered from. Yeah. Do we leave it at that? ISA 95 Part 2 hierarchy? I think that's enough. Okay, cool. All right. So what has been added to the new MQTT engine, specifically the MQTT engine and MQTT transmission modules? And I think it's the latest is version 4026, if I'm not mistaken. Sure. Maybe, Gary, you want to take us through what's been added?
Yeah. So when you're building out a unified namespace for UNS, and you have multiple devices or nodes out at the edge, from a central perspective, your MQTT engine connects to your MQTT broker, and it listens for remote SparkPlug clients that are publishing into Ignition. So in this example here, I've got Edge Node 1, Edge Node 2, and Edge Node 1 is part of Factory 1, and it's got Station 1 and Station 2. But what you'll notice is Station 2 is serviced by two different edge nodes. And when I publish all of that into SparkPlug, I get the SparkPlug view of it, and we have the link group, the edge, the device, and all of the folder structure within that device. Now, when we're passing data from OT to IT, we actually want to get it into a structure or into a fashion that matches the enterprise. In other words, we like to get it back into something like the ISA 95 structure. That's really the new or the new MQTT engine that's available from Cirrus Link or part and parcel of Ignition comes into play.
Are you able to show us some of that, Gary? I think that's probably the best part.
I can do some of that. Let me see if I'm allowed to share my screen.
This is a live demo. Always dangerous.
Yeah, always dangerous, always very dangerous. So, am I sharing? No.
Yeah. Consent.
Great.
Yeah, you're sharing. We can see the gateway currently.
Yeah. So now I'm looking at my central gateway here. I've got an ignition MQTT engine configured here. And in the MQTT engine, all that I'm going to change is I'm going to go down to my Spark message. And I've got things that are hidden behind. There we go. I'm going to go down to my Spark B. And in the Spark B configuration, I have this new checkbox which says UNS enable MQTT engine tags in a specific folder. And I've just said I want to enable that into MQTT. One of the questions that you may ask that's going to come, I'm sure, is that by doing this, am I not going to double up the amount of tags that I'm publishing into my engine? The answer is yes, but I can always just disable the default tags inside of that. Before I save those changes, I just want to go and show you what I've actually got configured here. I've got my central gateway. I've got Edge Node 1 and Edge Node 2. And as I said earlier, I've got Edge Node 1, which has got Station 1 and Station 2, and only part of Station 2. And in Edge Node 2, I've got Station 2 and Station 3. Now, if I look and see what it publishes out for me, you can see that it publishes out Edge Node 1 with all the device structures and then the folders underneath it. And exactly the same for Edge Node 2. Now, this is really not what we want. We want all of that stitched into a single view. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and enable this UNS tags on my MQTT engine. I'll specify my folder prefix of UNS, and we'll see where that comes in a second. Then I'm going to save those changes. Now I'm going to go across to my MQTT transmission module on my Edge Node 1. If I go and look at this, there's no special configuration that I've done here. I've given it a name. I'm going to enable this transmitter. I've given it a tag provider. I can give it a tag path or not if I want to. I'm not converting the UDTs to tags. I'm letting it as is. I want to publish them. One very important thing is if I'm using UDTs, all of these UDTs on my edge nodes must be the same. They must be the same UDT. I haven't got history enabled for this one. I've then got my standard Spark plug settings. I've got a group ID of enterprise, my edge node ID, and my device ID. And I'm going to save those changes. And straight away, in my engine settings, I can see that I now have a new folder called Edge Node 1 with what I've enabled from Node 1. I'm now going to go to get this out of the way, my Edge Node 2. And I'm going to do exactly the same on Edge Node 2. I'm going to go down to my MQTT transmission module. I'm going to go to my transmitter. I'm going to enable it slightly different, well, exactly the same settings. I've just given it a unique name. My tag provider is different. All of the other settings are the same. As I said, very important that the UDTs must be the same. Save my changes. And what's going to happen is immediately you see that Station 3 has popped in and it's stitched it all together. Everything that I had under Station 2 for Edge Node 2 is now stitched into that section that I had. Now, what else is very nice is I can go and say, well, I've got some functionality that would typically not live in the edge. So I want to go and create some aggregates or some totals or things like that. So I've gone and done some little scripting in the background, and I've got some tags that I've created for each station here. Total usage, I want to stitch those tags back into the same UNS. Well, it's exactly the same principle. I've got the same kind of structure defined, or I've got the same structure defined as I have in my edge nodes. Same principle, I go to on my central gateway, I go to my MQTT transmission. I'm going to go and enable that transmitter. Save those changes. And if I go back to my MQTT engine to my UNS, you'll see now that it's stitched those statistics tags or those usage tags that I created back into that structure. And I think this is such a nice feature to have. For anybody that's using MQTT, you already have this. It's part and parcel of the latest releases of the engine and transmission modules.
Fantastic. Really, really.
I think it's really game changer. It's an absolute game changer. It makes life so much easier. If I had to do this in the past, I could have done it with reference tags, but it would have taken a lot of work. And every time something changes, I needed to go and change it manually. This really makes my life so much easier.
It would have been a significant engineering lift. No, for sure. Very, very nice. So that is a version 4026, I think, is the latest of the MQTT modules. And it enables that. Thanks, Gary. That was very brave to do a live demo as well.
Oh, be brave.
Yeah. All right. I think my screen is back up. Should be.
Yes.
Fantastic. Right. So that is all about the new MQTT UNS functionality. We're just going to call it that, the UNS functionality. SepaIQ. So we're really excited about. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions, please ask in the chat. We do monitor the Q&A. We usually have a couple of good questions. If anybody do have any questions, please type away, and we'll answer them live as we go along.
If we can.
If we have the capability to answer them. There's no need for formalities to keep it to the end. Please let us know if you have any questions. So SepaIQ, we're really excited about SepaIQ. It is, as we mentioned, Sepasoft's latest offering. We'd love to be the first to announce it, but it was announced at the Ignition Community Conference last year in Folsom in September. Based on the discussions that we've had with many of you, it does seem like you know about SepaIQ, which is good. And there's also a good understanding that it is a complete manufacturing analysis or analytic solution. We often hear about AI and machine learning and all of these other 2- and 3-letter digitization acronyms. But before we can realize the value of those things, we need to understand why data-driven is a key concept. And that's really why we're excited about SepaIQ. So maybe just very briefly, why data-driven manufacturing? Let's look at, for example, optimizing operations. So by analyzing data, you can identify the inefficiencies in your process, reduce downtime, improve productivity, optimize resource allocation. All of those things lead to cost savings and higher profitability. Then we've got predictive maintenance, quality control, inventory management, supply chain optimization, all very reliant on cleansed contextualized data. All of those things obviously eventually means competitive advantage. And being able to innovate more effectively and respond faster to market changes. So that's a little bit about why data-driven. I think we can all agree about the importance of contextualizing cleansed data as a foundation for solving problems. But what is needed to leverage AI and machine learning tools? Gaining insights from these tools and these available offerings that are typically very expensive is only as good as the data that is fed into its learning algorithms and into its learning. So the cleaner the data, the better. So that's the old saying about garbage in, garbage out. We are not at the point where AI knows what to do with all of this data. Creating the models still require guidance or guiding it by someone with domain knowledge, expertise, industry experience, and in most cases, data science knowledge as well. When it comes to MES, data contextualization is vital. So the general rule of thumb is that these tasks take 85% of the effort to implement and maintain an AI solution. Why hasn't anybody, assuming that the data is cleansed, contextualized, available, why hasn't everybody fielded AI in manufacturing yet? And there's a couple of really good research pieces about this, but we are still very much in the hype curve of this new technology. up until now, I think the general consensus with a lot of people has been, let's collect all of our data and we'll figure out what to do with it later. Let's just gather any and all and figure out what to do with it later. And too often today, the existing solutions that we see in this space are typically very overpriced for manufacturing, specifically for our industry. And then the change of data needs to change, both input and output. It needs to be bidirectional with the context. Simply collecting it and storing it somewhere centrally, whether that be a data lake or a cloud, is not enough. It does need to be actionable and bidirectional. How do you incorporate your new manufacturing director's favorite KPIs? As an example, have you invested in a tool that can do that? It is expensive technology. So SepaIQ is not our announcement, but maybe just to understand a little bit of the fundamental what it is a complete manufacturing analytics solution that unifies and contextualizes production data, which allows you to strengthen the effectiveness of your AI and ML business intelligence tools. It specifically breaks down two barriers. One of the biggest barriers we've seen with most of these solutions is performance. It has to be lightning fast to keep up with the data demands of our modern systems and structures. It's got to be scalable. SepaIQ is cloud or on-premise. There is load balancing through server clusters. And SepaIQ, very important, complements the existing Sepasoft MES offering, but does not replace the production control features of the modules that you use today, whether that's OEE or batch or track and trace. It complements it, it does not replace it. So SepaIQ connectivity is really the heart of SepaIQ. It's designed to stream data from diverse sources such as your SCADA, MES, unmanaged or unmanned databases, supporting protocols. There's a few: MQTT, Kafka streams, RESTful API, Ignition 8.3, and many more to follow. Some of the data challenges: yes, SepaIQ does allow you to cleanse, transform, and contextualize production data without reducing the need to do that data governance and the data preparation or massaging manually. Some of the analysis features: it features built-in OEE and SPC calculations or create calculators. You can obviously create your custom calculations with JavaScript, real-time predictions based on your own production data, sentiment. You can also do sentiment tracking, real-time analytics. That's all part of the very, very powerful analysis capability of SepaIQ. And then finally, sharing. The communication flexibility that you typically have with SepaIQ for receiving data is equally available for transmitting the data. Equally as important to connect to those data sinks, your higher level BI, and naturally your other AI systems that you have available. SepaIQ does support connectivity for a variety of data sources and sinks. So that's the in, the analytics, and the out, essentially. So the takeaway, this is just a teaser. The demo requests were live this week. I think right now you can schedule a demo with the Sepasoft team. SepaIQ is a complete manufacturing analytics solution that we're quite excited about. We're also learning about a little bit more ourselves. SepaIQ Premium is available right now. The demo request is available. And again, you do not require the Sepasoft MES modules right now with SepaIQ Premium, but the later version that will follow with Ignition 8.3 will require those modules. But check it out. Go to the website, sepasoft.com, or scan the QR code. Let us know what you think. We'd be happy to chat about it further. We're quite excited about it, and we're hoping to be able to see a demo, at least show you a demo in the very near future. All right, so that was SepaIQ. Let's start off with Ignition 8.3. What is the latest update on Ignition 8.3, Laura?
Yeah, very exciting. Before I jump into that, just by the way, guys, we are aware that the chat was disabled for attendees, but if you just refresh, I see we've already gotten a question in from Quentin. So
Fantastic.
maybe just check, if if there's still a bit of an issue, guys, I apologize. Maybe just play around with the chat and see if you can submit those questions in for us.
Maybe we should ask for a question to see who can test the Q&A.
Oh, yeah. Quinton Russ has put a question.
Oh, yes, Quinton.
What are the primary use cases and industries where SepaIQ has shown the most impact?
SepaIQ is brand new. It was developed from the ground up. It is currently running successfully at a food and beverage enterprise customer in North America. The initial feedback, Quinton, it's very, very promising. Really a lot of time and cost benefit, but that is literally their first customer. It is brand new technology. So it will be made public. The results will be made public, and the case study or that showcase we will be able to share it. But SepaIQ is not a regurgitation of another technology or a product that has existed. It was built from the ground up, which is good in terms of references. Less exciting, Quinton. But good question.
Fantastic. There you go. Okay, so I see the questions are coming through the Q&A section, not the chat section. So two different types.
Yes, let's be the Q&A. The chat is just for us. All right.
Okay. Internal. All right. Okay, but let me start off with Ignition 8.3. So guys, Inductive Automation has decided to update their schedule to target an early Q2 release, but that would be for the Ignition 8.3 beta version. Now, the new timeline that they've given through to us, it's going to allow them to gather the highest quality of feedback during the beta phase, which will set the stage for Ignition 8.3 to provide, the idea is just a great user experience. And that would be for its final release, that will be later this year. So we understand that everyone is very too eager to get their hands on it, to test out new features. I mean, we are as well. So we do appreciate everyone's patience, but they are working very hard to deliver the most powerful version of Ignition yet. So together I think
we'd appreciate that, Laura. I think it is wise to do that. And lengthening or making the private beta a little bit longer, I think will probably serve us well to do that. So, in a year or 2 years' time, we won't remember that it was, a few months late. But I think the user experience quality or assurance is what they're looking at by delay. So that's okay.
Yes. Exactly. I mean, I know they've gotten so much feedback during the initial beta version testing that they've decided to make that a complete alpha. And so beta is coming out again because they said they wanted to make the source code as close as possible to the final release as they possibly can to let it run through a whole new cycle of testing. So, but some of the new features, I know a lot of you guys have heard of a few of the things that are coming out, and a lot of the features have been mentioned over and over and over again. But if you go and delve a little bit deeper into the feature notes, there's some cool stuff that I think we should be highlighting as well. So there's about 2 things that might look familiar, but the rest are all little tidbits that I think needs a bit more attention. So the first one is, of course, the redesigned Gateway web user interface. It's got a lot of new capabilities. They've got a whole video on it. But what excites me the most is it includes a fully functional built-in RESTful web API, which is Open API compliant, fully documented. It's amazing. So, that is, of course, one of the cool new capabilities of the gateway. All of the current file system that's used for configuration, that has been moved from using an internal database to a complete file system. So this will follow a logical hierarchy, meaning that it's humanly readable. And in so provides us the capability to integrate with version control software like Git. And I know that's been a big request as well.
Yeah.
Then I think together with that, that's something that is being highly anticipated is something called deployment modes that they've added. So this allows you to seamlessly move between development, staging, and production modes all in one environment. So you can have the one gateway, set it up to have, for example, development, staging, and production configuration. So completely different configurations for different modes in one gateway. and switch between the modes as it's needed, which is fantastic. Then, of course, everyone knows about the native SVG drawing editor that's been added to Perspective. Just as a reminder of that, it allows you to create and edit your own SVGs in projects. And then offline mode. Offline mode, interesting. I got a question about it the other day, so I thought I might just clarify it for everyone. So through your Ignition Perspective app, users can make the projects available not only while just being disconnected from the gateway, because everyone assumes that's the only option, but also being completely disconnected from internet. So you don't even need cellular connection or data connectivity at all. So what happens is the project or the application resources gets downloaded onto the device. You can then interact with it, use it, make changes, and whenever that device reconnects with the gateway over any type of connection, it pushes all those changes automatically, and then obviously pulls all of the changes that was made on the gateway through to the device. So it's like an automatic merging. So if you've used version control software before, see it as those two little windows next to each other that says, these are the changes that's been made on the gateway. This has been made on the project, but it automatically syncs all of that changes that have been made. So that is very, very cool.
Yep.
And then lastly, they've expanded the alarm notification capabilities with WhatsApp integration. So we're very excited to see what that entails as well.
Finally. Yeah.
Finally. Right. So let's check out some standard bug fixes in addition to the latest Ignition 8.1 version. And of course, just what you expect on the new upcoming version. So in version 45, I introduced a new system property into the designer. I'm mentioning this because I've actually had a few support tickets regarding this specific thing, but they added a property called ignition.perspective.designer save timeout. And this can control the designer's wait time for embedded browser frame responses. This is awesome because it significantly improves asynchronous handling. And then, of course, just some error messaging during save operations, because we know if you start embedding browser frames into a project, those browsers might take a while to respond, and that usually causes a bit of issues inside of the designer. So that's been added. Very excited.
Yep.
And to improve the infrastructure, they also upgraded the Java runtime environment to the newest version, which is 17.013. And they also enhanced the PowerCharts tag browser to display the correct start path when this tag browser start path property has been bound. So those are just like some standout features. There hasn't been a lot of major fixes or changes because that was done just in December. So everyone kind of went on holiday. But now, coming in version 8.146, there's a few new big stuff. So, for example, Ignition Cloud Edition will now be available as a container image. So, yay for the guys working with Docker. And that's to facilitate deployment in containerized environments. They are also introducing a new usage-based license strategy for Ignition Cloud Edition. So that's just to offer people more flexible licensing options. I know it's still gaining traction here in South Africa, but I know it was a big thing regarding how licensing worked inside of an Azure or an AWS space there in America.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty rigid.
So they're making some changes on that, which is great. And then also, one thing that I'm very happy that they've addressed is they fixed a problem that was causing bound custom session properties to disappear from the designer when you're merging changes from the gateway. So it's something very small, but it's something that caused a lot of headache. So it's being fixed in 1.46.
So it's essentially two development streams at the moment, still very much focusing on 8.1. Which is our current major version, and adding not only bug fixes, but continuing to add enhancements today. And then naturally the 8.3 build, which is happening in parallel. So the IE teams have been busy for sure.
Laura,
I see.
For you before we carry on.
Yeah.
Does Ignition support Python 3? That's from Ernest.
Ignition, yes. So Ignition 8.3 will support Python 3. Currently, Ignition 8.1 does not support Python 3 because that means they need to rebuild the whole Python structure in the backend. So that is in conjunction. That's being done for Ignition 8.3. Right. Fantastic. Okay, so what you guys see on the screen now, this is the fun and new thing that Jaco mentioned at the start, is something called industry packs. So Inductive Automation has released 2 new Ignition industry packs. And this is a new type of resource that they are providing to the Ignition community through the Ignition Exchange. So what are these industry packs? They are just resource bundles. They contain pre-built, ready-to-use solutions for a specific industry. Now, you can expect these things to include like perspective views, equipment-specific UDTs, some custom SVG components, and so on. And the whole idea of these industry packs is to provide integrators and end users with, again, these pre-built industry-specific solutions that you can download for free on Ignition Exchange, while they are keeping the Ignition platform industry agnostic. So the idea is to empower the Ignition community, all of us, and together with just, empowering us with these pre-built resources, is you can actually use these as sales tools for prospective customers that are looking for resources in this industry.
Demo tools, you can use it for build tools, it's free. And I think these are the same resources that's being used in the online demos.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
This is about speed to result. It gives you a fantastic starting point.
Yeah, you'd be silly not to use it and at least check it out and see what's available, especially if there's some engineering work that will be removed from your project time. Great.
So they've released 2 packs, right? Namely the water industry pack and the data center industry pack, which are, as I understand it, the first of many to come. So I'm going to show you really quickly just where to find them and how easy it is to access these resources and use them.
So should we maybe kind of point people to the
we can skip this.
Yeah,
exactly. I was just going to show them where to find them. But if you go to Ignition Exchange, guys, you can just log in with your Inductive Automation account details, and you'll see under resources, there's just a brand new section that's added called Industry Packs. Yeah. If you download it, you can download it for free. It gives you README files and a step-by-step instruction guide showing you how to import the projects, how to import UDTs, how to import tags, what you can use the widgets for, how the widgets work. It's amazing. I've literally set it up in like 10 minutes, both of these projects, and it's so cool. And that is actually what they use, like Jaco said, to build out the water demo as well as the data center demo that you can find on the Ignition demo, the online demo, in other words.
And a lot of things we are saying today, we kind of assume that people would know. I know there's a lot of familiar folks on the call, but there's also somebody that I've never heard of Ignition Exchange. So it's worthwhile checking out. It is a resource repository where you can download all different types of resources that have been made available for free by the community. So it's definitely worthwhile not only checking out these industry packs, but seeing what else is available on the Ignition Exchange.
Correct. Right. So these Canary updates, as you guys have heard, we've been speaking quite a lot about Canary version 24 nowadays. So that is the next, big release of Canary. But since the initial release of 24, which was at the end of last year, there's been 5 additional releases, each implementing a handful of new features. So the latest version, which is version 24.2, has gotten a major improvement in a few things. And the first one is the audit log. So it now supports the option to write events to Microsoft SQL Server instead of SQLite. And that makes it easier to see the differences in things like identity configuration changes. It logs the users when you use the store and forward API. Let's say you can see who purged sessions, paused sessions, unpaused sessions, and so on. The store and forward performance has been improved, especially now when you're working with like thousands worth of sessions. Yeah. So that's very nice as well. The calculations, this is cool. They now support plugins for third-party custom functions. And so you
Very
can,
nice feature.
yeah, so you can use your own custom functions, or they've also added a function package called Steam Functions. So that's a plugin that's available, and that implements the IPWS IF97 standard.
Of course it
That's
does. Yes,
that's an
very
item.
familiar with that standard.
Yes. Okay, right. And the views now allow reading events from remote calculation services. So that's very cool as well. And also the installer for version 24.2 has been improved with fault tolerance when you're migrating historian settings. Okay, so there's quite a lot of features. I just mentioned a few of them.
Yeah.
But for those of you wondering, we still have this on the next slide. But just to let you guys know, they are moving, they are busy using or creating Linux support for the Canary 24 services, which is added to the Linux support as well. So some features, here to highlight that were added in previous minor versions, which is obviously included in version 24.2 as well, is the newly added snapshot utility to gather diagnostic information about the HTTP files and the computer systems inside of the historian. This is such a great tool, especially when you're troubleshooting data in the data set, right? They added dataset prefix validation to the SQL OPC and the MQTT collector, so a nice validation tool. They added the concept of asset trends to trend graph control for enhanced asset functionality. They added a state drawing method to trend graph control. They added authentication option in Excel add-in to use an API token. They added the ability to import multiple files per import in the CSV collector. And they also added the ability to copy and paste between screens applications in Axiom.
These is very, very important, considering that it's a web browser. A browser-based
application.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very,
so
very nice.
These are just standout features in those 5 releases. But guys, the release notes for the features are insane. There's a lot. So do yourself a favor, check them out on the Canary community website under the Canary system release notes.
I saw the 24.2 list, and I wasn't sure what you would be able to put in a summary of 5 points on this slide. So well done.
Sure. Awesome.
2024 was a significant release for Canary, and I think was in many ways it was new code. So 24.2, Gary, as far as versions go, should be a safe time to upgrade. Considering we're on point.
Read a lot of work on 24.2.
Yeah,
and it's a very stable version. And if anybody is wanting to upgrade to 24, please let the support team know before you go down this road. You need to, if you're on version 23 and you're on support, you need to get a new license. You need to be on specific versions. There are specific requirements. So please let Laura and her team know that you plan to upgrade, and don't do it the day before. Give us a couple of days notice so that we can get things organized for you. One of our team members will be on the call, and we will more than likely even arrange for somebody from Canary to be available as well.
Cool. Laura, thank you. So one last thing on Canary, they will be hosting the Canary team is hosting their first ever user conference. Can you believe it? In 40 years of business, they haven't had one. So they decided we've been doing this well for 40 years. Let's have our first user conference. So it will be this year in August in Pennsylvania. It is a month or so prior to the Ignition Community Conference in Folsom. So those are 2 really good excuses for a valuable trip to the US to go spend time with those communities, both the Canary and the Ignition community this August. We will definitely be there. Not quite sure who. But if you're thinking of joining, please let us know. We'd love to arrange that together with whoever the local community would like to go over and attend that conference. All right, that was it. That was a lot of waffle, much longer than it should have been. My fault, sorry. Laura, thank you. Doris, I hope you're still with us. You haven't run away.
I'm still here. Don't worry.
Ask session on sleep with all their waffles.
Doris, if you're able to turn on your video and you in an environment where you can do that, you're welcome to. Oh, there we go. Fantastic.
Hi.
you would think so many webinars in, we've got it figured out, but we finally found the button. But I actually found the button. No, it was my fault to enable it. So nice to see you, and thank you again for joining us, Therese.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I am nuts about this application, by the way. And it is the title reads automating a large-scale macadamia nut processing facility with Ignition SCADA. What we didn't know initially, Clarice, is that this is an Australian-based project. We didn't get a sense of the scale initially when we spoke with your team. Based on what we've seen and what you've shared, it is a phenomenal application. So well done for that. And maybe we can jump straight into that with you giving us an idea of who you are, a little bit about Systeco, if that's okay, just to give us some context about your business, the industries and the customers that you serve.
Yes. Okay. So Systeco Automation is basically a division of Systeco Group that basically specializes in building and designing tailored automation solutions to meet diverse industry needs. Our expertise includes like PLC programming, SCADA design, IoT integration, also enabling us to enhance product efficiency by minimizing the human error. So basically, we both a Phoenix and Ignition certified integrator, which maintains close partnerships with them, allowing us to test and implement their pilot products. So this ensures innovative and reliable solutions for our clients. Also, this collaboration extends to the integration for seamless data acquisitions, the real-time monitoring, as well as advanced automation controlling for scalable, high performance and industrial solutions, basically.
Okay, so you're quite a comprehensive, from fabrication all the way to advanced process control business. I haven't been to your Nelspruit office. Gary has been. We'd love to visit one day, but I believe it's beautiful. Yeah,
Really nice facility.
Also a nice part of the world. That.
A bit wet at the moment, I think.
Can I come as well? Opry.
Yeah, for sure. We need to do that. So tell us a little bit more about your clients in Australia. I've got on the screen, I've got a little bit of the overview of what you've done. The project is still, I believe, ongoing. It's not complete yet. We've put some of the functional requirements on the screen and some of the solution, but maybe tell us about the customer and their needs and how you found it.
Yeah, so our customer is White Bay Sorting. Obviously, it's an Australian-owned and grown processing company. The company was founded by a group of leading macadamia growers who recognized the need for the market, the need for the market, the process, and to deliver premium macadamias to the world. They guarantee the quality by controlling supply chains, basically from the hand from the farmer straight to the consumer. This basically using the combined years of expertise and the commitment to the farming excellence. But considering that White Bay is one of two companies currently in Australia that is associated with one another, they're both basically based in central Queensland. And currently there's additional 3 to 4 other companies that we're working with in Australia and getting startups on. So it's super exciting. Definitely a lot to handle, a lot on our plate, but we're coping. Our team is excellent, enthusiastic to all of it. And we're just like looking forward how we can basically integrate and use Ignition to basically just showcase the work that Ignition can do and the work that automation can do.
Thank you for choosing Ignition. The application looks great, by the way. We've got some screenshots. We've got a little bit of what the architecture is. So maybe just to recap the solution, you mentioned Phoenix Contact. Around at the moment, around just over 7,000 tags, 35 screens, 10 clients, 100 alarms. A couple of fairly standard protocols that you've used. The SepaIQ bridge, which of course handles the integration and data exchange. And then you've got perspective. And I was quite excited when I saw the app screenshot. I think it was specifically for the curing processes. Very, very. I'm going to use the word sexy because that is really a sexy screen. Very, very nice view that on the mobile. And maybe the functional requirements will kind of explain itself when we look at some of the screens. But maybe let's start with the architecture. The architecture is a fairly, I want to call it is what we call a basic architecture. I think what you had to do on your side, there was some network redundancy and custom scripting that you had to do.
Yes, that's correct. Unfortunately, I don't have like all the info regarding our architecture and all that. As I obviously stepped in for a colleague of mine. But yeah, so basically we opt for redundancies to make sure that if something goes off, that nothing else in the facility is affected by this. To make sure that everything runs smoothly and there's no interruptions. Should there be an error or something with one PLC or whichever that gets lost connection or is faulty.
Yeah, and I do know you also opted for redundant ignition OPC failover, or at least for an OPC failover, and that at least gives you some of that uninterrupted operation. So fairly standard architecture. Looking at some of the screens, this is the overview screen. You mentioned one of the requirements was seamless control and monitoring. I think the user interface is very interesting. The visualization is always a very personal thing. There are considerations for situational awareness. There's consideration for ease of understanding and reading, and distraction and color use. But you designed this to ultimately adapt to different screen sizes, making sure that it's clear and consistent on different views, whether it's a touch screen, HMI, or whether it's a cell phone. You had to design with that in mind.
Yes, definitely. So obviously, there's other additional screenshots that we shared, mostly like our receivable lines, like gantry lines and all that. You would see that we use maximized and minimized type of views for this, because usually our HMIs range from anything from 15 inches to 7 inches. We're trying to opt away from the 7 inches because it's a bit tiny. Yeah. And, sometimes, the finger just doesn't want to press the right button. So we don't want to take away the human error that could even occur in such occurrence. So we're trying to go for the 15 inches. But currently, I think that was also really something that just could showcase what we can do with Ignition, to showcase that there's two different things that you can do using maximize and minimize views and still show enough detail to do everything that you want the system to do.
I'm guessing that you have some kind of a navigation breadcrumb pane throughout the views. That's the little on the top left-hand side, the little selection there.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. The multi-stage. So there's some batching involved. I don't know if you were personally involved in some of this batching that's involved with Diasca. I don't know if you can add any context to that.
Yes, so the batching basically, it's continuous evolving. So we started off as simple as possible, adding so much more detail regarding it. So unfortunately, I can't remember if I sent that with the screenshots, but if there are certain aspects where if you click on it, there's the batching pop-up that comes in where you can just include client information, bin information, all the additional information that you as a client or as the integrator wants to add to the system. You can enter into that batching system and you can submit it, and it will be submitted through the whole system, and then pulled through to the databases and all the requirements that you need it to do.
I've noticed that there is some elements of material tracking. There's also some waste tracking that you're doing. So it's a little bit more than just batch. It's actually quite a lot that you ultimately scripted, I would imagine, inside of Ignition without utilizing some of the out-of-the-box type MES modules that you would typically need.
Yes, definitely.
Somebody did a lot of typing.
Our team obviously is very qualified and experienced. regarding all of this. And it's super awesome to see where this thing starts and to actually see the final product regarding all the notes and the crypt notes and everything that you would see on the desk and everything to get it to this point, and to get it to work the way that you need it and want it to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Gary has a question about whether you had the green and red conversation. Everybody always have, every project there's a red and green conversation that has to be had before it kicks off. This is the queuing, and what I didn't realize about the queuing, I only saw it afterwards, was obviously it's weather driven. You know, I know very little about agri and this kind of environment, but obviously it's weather driven. So you need the ability to have these weather driven queuing adjustments and I think you actually integrated with a weather API to get the real time weather data that enables some automated adjustments to the queuing room conditions. I mean, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, so definitely. I think it was awesome to integrate into that. Mostly we currently just see it on our app, but White Bay is still like I said, it's very evolving, since this is still stage 1 of 4 stages that this project is consistent of. So the more we evolve and the more we go into the next stages of this product and the next stages of the facility, the overviews and everything might even change, because we evolved into our next facilities into a better navigation system, as well as adding the weather API. But you could see the weather API on the app specifically, which is awesome. So yeah, the real-time weather data was integrated to the API, which allows us the automated adjustment for the queuing conditions, especially the real-time queuing conditions, because like we all know, the queuing process is heavily influential regarding external weather conditions. So it's really necessary to integrate real-time weather data for the optimal queuing result.
Absolutely, and that's ultimately what affects the overall quality of your product and the shelf life and various other things. Really, really cool. I didn't realize this was in the application. Very, very nice. Power monitoring, that's naturally a fairly large component of this type of facility, considering potentially the energy and the utilities that are involved. So power monitoring was a requirement from the beginning. Are you integrating with any kind of metering type systems, or is it pretty much hardware on site?
It's pretty much hardware on site. Here and there might be additional stuff that comes along the way, but it's basically hardware on site and just the communication between the PLCs and obviously Ignition, and to showcase all this data and the trend.
Okay. And you've got some real-time training that you can, I see you've currently got it set it up for 8 hours, which is pretty much the last shift. But you can naturally, with this view, you can select that period to be pretty much anything.
Yes.
But you've got it set up for the 8 hours. Really, really nice layout. I like that.
Yeah, so specifically power monitoring. Again, this is also a view that has advanced since submitting it. We are working on a different view as well, including all these trends and then a few pie charts and stuff like that, including extra additional information that might not be listed here. So obviously you see the trends, but you miss some of the information. So the power monitoring page has evolved even since the submission. So it's kind of cool to see the new pages like evolving and seeing what new information you can add and how you can add it, other than using trends.
Fantastic. Lots of trends. I would imagine it's a very trend-heavy page or couple of pages. I know there's also you're also utilizing I don't think I've included any screenshots of that, but you also use the reporting. I know you've got a Postgres database in the background. You also use the Ignition reporting module, where you have some weekly and some monthly reports specifically around the batching and the power monitoring.
Yes. So Oshi, if you go through the whole chains and you select from there, you go to the reporting pages, which basically a personalized report. It pulls up a personalized report. Again, you can filter this from start date, finish date, time, whichever way the client needs it to be submitted or recorded. So basically it's the same. So, And it's easy navigation if you actually use the system. So you can actually go directly from the trends to this reporting and just see the overall view, what you need to see and how you want to see it.
Lovely. And are you distributing, are you emailing those reports at the moment?
No,
Okay.
Luckily not. I have enough on my plate as is, but so this is obviously easy for not only internal use, but definitely external for the client as well. So hopefully they have a system in place and someone in place that can do it all. So, but
Okay. And then just a final screen here, which is the alarms, your typical alarm view. Alarm philosophies have become quite an interesting, alarm rationalization and philosophies have become quite an interesting talking point. I'm guessing there was no any kind of special alarm strategy that you implemented. You're making use of the kind of standard functionality with the relevant criteria for notification and acknowledgement and shelving and all of those things using the native functionality inside of Ignition.
Yes, definitely. So you're using everything regarding so it would be your normalized factory alarms, just saying there's an e-stop was pressed or something has tripped, one of the motors has tripped or conveyor has tripped. So it's basically just getting that feedback from the PLC and just integrating it into Ignition. So we can just get the normal, typical factory alarms.
Yeah. We're really excited about the WhatsApp module. I think the WhatsApp module is going to add a cohesive teamwork environment to alarming, which is typically missing. It's very one direction. Well, it's bi-directional, but it's very specific to a person or a group of people. But it's kind of linear. I think the WhatsApp module is going to add that ability to troubleshoot an alarm as a team of people. So we're really excited about that one. It's coming with 8.3.
Yeah, definitely. So currently for our alarming system, additional thing that we do have is we use Telegram to receive all our alarms. So we also the WhatsApp integration is something we're actually keen to explore. And but it's also something WhatsApp isn't all internationally used. So it's a bit difficult, but Telegram is a great backup for that. But local users in South Africa, we know WhatsApp. We love WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So we're definitely keen to explore that, and it also gives us to the ability to now we basically quote and build a quote client specific or factory specific, which is an added flexibility, and it's awesomely like a welcome enhancement, I think, to most industries.
Yep. There's cool tech note, by the way, for Telegram, for not for you, Clarice. You guys have done it. You're the experts. But for those of you online that's wondering, we do have a quite a easy to follow guide for Telegram.
We'll make a WhatsApp one next when it comes out. But no.
Yeah. Clarice, well done to you and the team. I think I know it's not complete. Be careful of it will never be complete because then it's perfect, or it will never be perfect because then it's complete. But I know it's still a live project. It's really impressive. It looks good so far. We're going to share this information. I know you've given us the permission to share it with everybody online. Maybe from your side, a final. There's sometimes a unique insight or some profoundness through a project like that the team has discovered. Is there anything that you'd like to share?
So basically, I had this discussion last night with our team leader on this regarding the programming side. And I can't exactly explain the whole situation, because when he talked to me, I had this dumbfounded look on my face, like, okay, how the hell did you actually do this to make it work the way it worked? So we had a problem with the valve bank and getting it to, communicate correctly. With the valve bank. And, then we had to run it through our bagging system and then all that stuff to just basically get it to communicate directly with the first system that we needed it to communicate with. But he had this whole setup, and I'm like I said, I was dumbfounded when he told me the whole situation. Like, if I have to explain it, it would take me an hour, just because I would go from top to finish and then go back to the middle, because I don't know how to make sense of the system the way he does.
Yeah, well done.
But
Yeah, definitely a team effort, and it shows. Thank you very much for taking the time to share with us today. We'll kind of contextualize and compact this into something a little bit more user-friendly that we can share with everybody. But thank you for joining us and sharing the information. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for having Tech Automation.
Absolutely. Good people. Any questions for Clarice from anybody online? No, nothing yet. No questions for Clarice. That is the end of our Elevate. Elevate. Jeez, I'm thinking of Elevate. If there are any other questions for this DLF live section, please, you don't have to let us know right now in the Q&A. You can always let us know afterwards. We will be sharing the dates for Elevate later this year, which will again be in October. And just to again highlight that we will be visiting Durban this year. We have spoken about KZN for 2 years now, and we've neglected KwaZulu-Natal. We will be doing an Elevate event in KwaZulu-Natal this year during third week. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll share those dates with you, as well as pretty much everything that was in this webinar. We'll share afterwards with the relevant links. But thank you very much for joining us. Any last words from anybody? Gary, Luan, Laura? I know we're over time, 30 minutes as always.
We're getting better.
We're getting better. It's not 20 minutes anymore.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for taking your time out of your day to share this time with us. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, hope it was valuable. And we'll definitely share more information around everything that we literally just touched on today. Very difficult to cover the detail in an hour. But let us know how we did. We'll be sending out a survey, and we will chat to you again as the DLF Live in another 3 months. Thank you very much for joining us.